Today's guest is Nick Peret. He's the CEO at peakleads.io. So Nick, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Tats. Can't wait. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so I looked on your profile and said, be the modern day contractor. Tell me about that.
Yeah, be the modern day contractor. So at peakleads.io, that's what we're all about. Now, what does that really mean? It means using the latest technologies to make your business as efficient and profitable as you can be. We're a young team. I'll be 31 in December, and most of our team is around that same age. We're a very hungry team, but we grew up using technology for everything that we do. And I also kind of grew up in a blue collar family. My dad was an electrician, you name it. We had the contractor in the family, right? So I grew up utilizing technology. I grew up in a blue collar family. And I noticed that there's a gap there that contractors can really take the next level by using these different tools.
Yeah, and so having the sort of the trades background, that makes sense. Why did you pick roofing, particularly commercial roofing?
Yeah, I mean that's a journey, right? That's a journey. You start the business with an idea and a vision, and for me, what it was contractors. Even when I graduated college, I was working for Milwaukee Tool, right? I was selling to distributors that would then go sell to contractors. So I was still living in that same realm. And then when I went and worked for a marketing automation company, a little startup, 40% of their business was contractors, and I was doing cold calls, 150 cold calls a day. So you got to think if 40% is contractors, you're speaking to about 60 contractors a day. So you start to pick up on certain patterns and areas where they could use help with, and that's where I started to kind of put the idea together, on whiteboard and start to kind of put it all together. Now, when I first started, it was going to be contractors just in general. And you know how it is when you start a business, even if they weren't contractors, we would take them on, doctors, lawyers, anyway, we'll take any client to, get revenue in the door. And then it's slimmed down to that ideal, target audience of contractors. And then the reason we went roofing was I was trying to get any business, any kind of traction I could, relationships, you name it. And so I was just sending people messages on LinkedIn. And I was like, hey, I'll make you a free video for your company. Just let me know if you're interested. So Randy Brothers with Elite Roofing and the Roofing Academy, he responded saying that he'd be interested. He never seems to miss a good opportunity. So I had no idea how to make a video, to be 100% honest with you. It was an absolute mess. I bought like a 3-inch tripod and put my phone on it. The tripod broke and fell over. It was an interesting. Well, but we ended up, connecting, right? And he started to realize that I was a hustler and still had a ways to go. But that was when he was starting the Roofing Academy, and he really didn't have a whole lot there. And so we ended up partnering together and working on that and kind of growing that. And along with that, we got really involved in the roofing space. And that's when we started to focus specifically on roofing. You got to think, if we're doing marketing and targeting roofing contractors and they need help with things and they sign up for Roofing Academy, hey, if they need help with marketing, they're going to come to us first, right? So it was a great partnership there for sure. We loved that. And then it went commercial for a couple of reasons. I would say that me and my business partner, we came from the B2B world, right? We both did sales and prospecting there. So we had an idea of what it takes to be successful in that area. And then we started having those results. And so also you start to see the client retention was very high there. And so we're like, let's lean into this. We're going to become the best at this. Also, if you look at the marketplace, I felt like if you look at marketing, there were plenty of other resources or options on residential and not as many on commercial.
Yeah. Now, we sort of kind of know each other because I see your stuff online, but people in the industry that I've talked to speak highly of what you do, but the lead gen side isn't always the side that gets positive reviews. You tell me
Mhm.
about that. I mean, because it's it's filled with things that don't live up to sort of advertise. So
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we all know that someone, we all know someone that's been burned by a marketing agency where it didn't work well, and they feel like they wasted tons of money, thousands and thousands of dollars, and they feel like they can't find a resource or a partnership that's going to help them kind of get to that next level and have consistent leads. You know, let's just be honest. We're not perfect, but you want to look for a partner when we're looking for a marketing agency. Basically, you're looking for a company you can trust. Because if they need to change things, or if they're not getting the results that you want, hey, are they willing to work with you and make sure that they fix that? That's really what it comes down to. Now, we average five. I think it's 5.67 leads per account per week. Right, and that kind of gives you a general idea. The clients that work the best with us, we like to say, has good communication for sure. Whether it's good or bad, let us know. If we have notes on how the leads are going, and any kind of updates, then we have a better understanding of where we're at. Now, if I send a ton of leads over and none of them are good and we don't communicate, I'm not going to know that. So on my end, hey, I'm going to think everything went well, but you're really saying, hey, I suck, right? So that communication, utilizing a CRM is a big one for sure. Any kind of organizational tool for your leads is going to make you more successful no matter what. And a suggestion that if you don't have one right now, make sure you're taking the time and money, investing it into that CRM, no doubt. Being willing to take some of the crappier jobs, if you will, like the ones that, the little repair work or service jobs that maybe you don't want right now because you want to get bigger opportunities, but just to build that relationship, especially if it could be an account that could serve you for a long time. Being open to that service work, I think, is a big one as well. And then follow up. And if you look at it, we have one of our clients where their job board for sales, which is basically what the steps are. Literally, all it labeled is first contact, second contact, third contact, and every time they do it, it is drag it over, and it goes all the way up to 7 contacts. Right? They have to follow up with the leads. So if you call them, they don't answer. Hey, don't give up quite yet. Right? Make sure that you have some kind of process that you stick with. Right? That every lead goes through, even if it's not from us.
yeah, for sure. Now, I know that you don't work with every company because, there's only so much opportunity. You want to make sure that there's quality. How do you think about sort of vetting or pre-qualifying the type of commercial contractors? Do you look at size, reputation? Like how do without having a conversation, how do you sort of narrow that down when you start to work with people?
Yeah, 100%. And sometimes it's easier than others, I would say, but for sure, the market size. Okay, so if we're looking at the market, we'll always look at how many properties are in that market. So, the more properties, the bigger the city. Of course, the more accounts we can have because there's going to be more prospects that we can target for these roofing contractors. That's going to be number one. Also, if you're going and trying to go into an account that we might already have somebody and there is room, how is that other account performing, right? Is there going to be an opportunity where if you look at that how that market's performing right now, it's probably gonna be very similar if we added a new one. So if it's performing well, maybe we'll add another one. But in terms of our ideal client, um, the I would say on the commercial side, the more capabilities that they have is going to be a big one for sure, right? So if they're able to take on flat roofs, et cetera, and stuff like that, some people just get into it. They might only do shingle stuff. So, if they have a good offering and I guess expertise in a variety of services on the commercial side, that's going to help for sure. Having people that they feel are going to and you can kind of judge on it. I feel like someone, if they have someone scheduling and making sure that they have someone who it's like their go-to person on the lead side, that's always really good. Like we have a commercial salesperson out in Orlando, Florida, and he's been paying out of pocket for men for maybe 2 years each month paying us, and he crushes it. But you got to think he's paying out of pocket himself, so like that's his hard-earned money that he's paying from, and then if he does a good job with those leads, he's just gonna make way more money right away. So I feel like he really takes it seriously on that follow up stuff. So we look at that for sure. Um, but yeah.
So he individually is paying con has the rest of the company clued in that's his competitive advantage?
It sounds like we have a meeting with the company later. I think it's next week or something like that, and so I think they might be trying to get in on it somehow. But I mean, he's a really talented salesperson. Having good sale, obviously having really good salespeople, makes us look really good. So that helps.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now, you talked about, contractors and the technology they use and sort of, so the modern thing. What sort of things are the best contractors using? Give me examples. We talked
Mhm.
about lead gen with stuff like that, but what are people using?
I mean, I think they think differently, right? And I love talking to business owners who I'm marketing minded, obviously. So I like talking to business owners that are, marketing minded, tech savvy, all that, and very open minded to implementing new technologies. And that's one thing I would say. Hey, even if you're not looking to grow your company or have drastic, extreme goals for the year, you always want to be looking at how can I grow? It doesn't necessarily have to be a revenue standpoint. It's more of how can we get better? How can we get more efficient? Because if you don't, you're going to fall further behind than you think. Now, you look at all these roofing conferences. There seems to be one all the time, right? Now, you don't have to go to all of them, but if you just go to one here and there, stop at the booths, look at what new tools there are and everything like that. There's some pretty good stuff that seems to be coming out, every few months. They're like, oh, I should at least look at that. Now, obviously, the core focus is going to be that CRM. Now, the CRM, you have a couple options. You could go with a roofing specific CRM, right? That is designed with the industry in mind and built for a roofing contractor specifically. And there's a variety of those. Yeah. Or maybe that's just not the right fit for you, and maybe you want to go with one that is outside of it, right? Whether it's a Salesforce or a Zoho or a HubSpot, you really got to decide where you're at, and from there, that's the foundation. That's going to be sales, production, billing. The processes for each one of those steps is going to be right in there, right? For me, if I'm looking at CRMs, one thing that I'm considering now, especially with salespeople out in the field, because I hear this point all the time, is for the salespeople, what mobile application, like how is the mobile application? Is a mobile application very user friendly for the salespeople on the field? From a lot of them that I hear, people struggle with that, and that's been an issue. So you got to think, hey, everything's built for the office. That's great. Everyone's loving in the office. What about the people that are responsible for running those leads, taking down the notes, sending the proposals? What does their process look like? Is that a mess? Or that they go home afterwards and do everything on that computer? Or can they get some of that stuff done from the mobile application? And I mean, from there, it's integrating everything. It doesn't it doesn't matter what it is. If it's estimating software, proposal tools, follow up software. I mean, you name it, right? I mean, email automation stuff. I think I see if you look at the customer journey, I think that I've seen some people do some cool stuff with different touch points to customers from when the lead comes in all the way to closing out and asking for that review through text and emails. I like the video idea where they do, before they come, maybe they have pre-built videos, frequently asked questions, or like an introduction of the salesperson that's going to come to their house and stuff like that. To kind of paint the picture is cool too.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about sort of automating sort of text and stuff on the back end and stuff like that. I mean, does that work as a standard process? Not everyone's tech savvy on the customer side, or is there do you find
I mean, so what kind of text are you saying? Just any kind of text in general?
oh, I was just listening to your process there and sort of
Mm-hmm.
following
Well,
that. So, were you talking inside the company or were you talking to the customer? Like what were you talking about there?
you could do it. I mean, it's really up to you, and that's the kind of I mean, it's the fun part and it's kind of the difficult part is there's no right answer. I mean, it's really up to you and not what your team you and your team prefers. But for me, the text messages, internal, external, I would definitely be utilizing, no doubt. I mean, if you're on your way, let's say to go do an inspection or whatever it might be, just sending that text message, like some kind of automated text message, right before saying that you're going to be on your way. That's going to be great. A text message reminder for a review, that could be great. A text message for maybe someone, there is a lead that's been sitting in, um, you know, tried to contact, couldn't get a hold of, whatever you want to call it. It's been sitting there, you haven't been able to lead. After a certain amount of days, they automatically get a text message just with a quick follow up. We'll do it too with with the commercial leads that we generate. If people are communicating well with us and we have a good relationship there, hey, we have a setup where it's like, hey, these are the leads that we want to send revive lost leads, we call it, where basically the lead either kind of started to fall off or they ghosted us, whatever it is. We just put them in some kind of campaign, through text messages, trying to get a hold of them, trying to spark that conversation. I mean, if you hit them at the right time and they have a leak, which it happens all the time or whatever it might be, boom, time is everything. And now we can still get that win and make sure we're maximizing those
Yeah.
leads.
I mean, obviously a situation where, something is sort of fallen off and there's a follow-up message that's straightforward. But what are the ones where you insert automation through a middle of the process where you have, the customized hand holding and there's an automation? How do you make sure that, you don't trip over it or people don't sort of feel impersonal in that process? What sort of things do you consider?
I mean, what would be like? I guess what would be like the biggest worry? Would it be like, hey, this got sent and it wasn't supposed to, basically, or
Uh,
what hesitations do you think people are having?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think if you're taking someone, that is sort of, has a very customized approach of it and you're trying
Hmm.
to optimize it, you know, I guess, how do you make sure that people feel like they're not being sort of automated out, right? Like, like,
Yeah,
the hand holding. Maybe
I get that.
there's
Right.
pick and
I
choose.
will. I will say this: the number one issue for for uh, clients with contractors tends to be communication.
Mhm.
And I was in Atlanta, Georgia over the holidays, and I was at my girlfriend's sister's house, and they were hosting us. They were having all these people over. I think they had 40 people over one of the days, and one of the windows is wide open, air blowing through it, and there is wood all over the place, sawdust everywhere. Haven't been able to get a hold of the contractor. I've not been able. They sent one guy that didn't know English to come pick up a ladder, and no communication. So, if you're a contractor, it's almost better to over communicate because no one else is even communicating.
Got it. That automated touch point is way better than non-communication. But so there's a bar there. No, great point. Yeah, I mean, what you talked about looking inside the industry for ideas. I mean, do you look at sources outside the industry for yourself to stay ahead or sort of,
Hmm.
what do you look to?
Yeah, I would say I actually, stay pretty much outside of the industry for the most part. When I go to conferences and stuff like that, I'll just keep an eye out on different things that are going on with different technologies. We have the podcast that we record every week that I'll bring on people that I think are cool, interesting, have good solutions, good stories. So I feel like I stay pretty on top of things there, and I've been doing that for 3 or 4 years every single week. So that keeps me informed there. But for internal stuff, I don't know, like when we're working at a product standpoint, stuff like that, or what we're trying to improve on, I would say it's mostly online stuff. It's kind of crazy. My business partner, his is Twitter. He follows all the people, anything marketing related, email marketing, different technologies, you name it, copywriting, all that kind of stuff. He's usually on Twitter. I'm more of a YouTube. I'm always looking on different things on YouTube, and then for me, I learn by just like using it. So I'll look up different tools if I feel like we have any kind of things we improve on, and just start researching, and then right away I just download that free trial and I start start playing with it. And I know pretty quick if it's gonna be something that I'll like to use or not, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah. So what sort of things that sort of you find like sort of patterns in terms of what makes you like something really quickly?
I mean, I like user experience, right? So when you're looking at technology, I think that's something that is extremely important and sometimes almost forgotten. For me, if I'm able to hop in and it's very intuitive, very I can learn it very quickly. I have an ability to customize it the way I want. You know, I'm like, ooh, I'm really liking this. And then also just being able to integrate the tools. So you gotta think, like I said before, that you want that CRM to be the foundation. And any kind of technology, we like to call them like kind of tech stacks, where you put different technologies on top of each other to make one, right? You want to make sure that there's one area that you can kind of log in and control everything. So you want your tools to uh, play friendly together, if you will. So if they're able to connect, you'd be good.
Great. Well, going from technology back into the roofing industry, on the commercial roofing side, you talk to a lot of commercial roofing contractors. Any trends or things top of mind for roofers that you notice? Just by talking to your various clients right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. I feel like the last couple of years, right? So first we had the COVID situation, and it seemed like people in the commercial side were saying that people were holding their money tight, right? So capex money was tapped out, or they're cut their budget there, or whatever it might be. People were looking for solutions that were very cost effective. I would say for a little bit, and then of course the supply issue, that's been a whole nother curveball of things. And then during this time, obviously the economy is kind of like, who knows, right? There's definitely some uncertainty out there. I would say, especially when you feel like the media is really pushing it too, people feel it even more, of course. And so when during those times, I feel like the contractors that are smaller have been like, hey, we're just gonna cut, we're gonna hold our money tight. And then I've noticed contractors that have been in business for 100 years, who weren't spending any money, said, all right, well, we have to get to work now.
So the opposite.
Yeah, the opposite. Yeah.
There you go.
hmm But I
Interesting.
mean, it's been interesting. I would say though, obviously, if you can, you just keep. I mean, no matter what, always stay active, right? You notice during tough economic times that some people will stop spending, and they won't be as aggressive. But then what's the game plan then, in my mind? So you know that it's gonna be tight, and then you're gonna lose some customers because they're gonna save their money. So you're gonna save your money and not gonna need more customers to replace the customers that you're going to lose because they're saving their money. So for me, hey, cash is oxygen. So anything I can do to be aggressive, and you got to think, the people are pulling back and not being as aggressive, is going to be a great opportunity for you to go out there, meet people, build your book of business, and really maximize the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Nick, is there anything I didn't cover that you wanted to touch on?
I think that's good. I mean, yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I would just say that the contractors out there, right? Just stay open minded as the new technologies that we're talking about. It stay aggressive. Always be prospecting, keep that pipeline full, right? Because otherwise, some months are good, and then all of a sudden the next one isn't as good. So keep it full. Keep the pipeline full. If you think about the time where you uh, awake at night trying to fall asleep, it's usually during those months where you're wondering where your next job is coming from. So, just stay aggressive, be open minded, and make sure that you enjoy the journey and have fun with the company and the platform it creates for other people.